We all have our favorite games, guys, that we've ever played. And I wanted to give you guys in this segment of the show the top 5 greatest games ever made in my personal opinion. And I would love to hear yours in the comment section down below. All of our lists, we may have some similarities with some of the games that, we may have in common, but some may be totally different. And so I would love to hear what your guys' top 5 games are that were ever made that you believe were, just the best, that you had a really great experience with, that you thought the characters were great, the story was great, from a graphical standpoint, from a multiplayer perspective, whatever it is, guys. I'm going to give you all my top 5 greatest games ever made, and I'll give you even some honorable mentions. So let's get into it. Coming in, guys, at number 5, which these are going to be in no specific order, guys, but at number 5 for me is The Last of Us. The Last of Us, guys, this is a game that, of course, really, in my opinion, has gotten me, got me really into Naughty Dog as a company. Now, of course, Uncharted was kind of like, there before The Last of Us, and I really loved Uncharted, but The Last of Us just was such a surreal experience. I'll never forget, guys, as you're traveling through the country, across the country, with Joel and Ellie, going through Pittsburgh was unlike anything I've ever experienced in a video game, because I live near Pittsburgh, PA, and with that, it was just such a surreal experience. Such a visceral gameplay and like a gritty, dark horror kind of style game, which I love horror games as it is, but The Last of Us really, I believe, was one of the greatest achievements in gaming, guys. An incredible game that just showcased some incredible characters from, of course, from Joel and Ellie, as well as just some of the other supporting cast members. And then, of course, all of the different enemies that you went up against in The Last of Us. Just it was unreal. Like, unlike anything I've ever played in a video game format was The Last of Us. Very special when it came to the storytelling, from a graphics perspective, which, of course, with The Last of Us Remastered, just was a spot-on, incredible experience, I've got to say, guys, was this game. And they did an incredible job overall, that being Naughty Dog, of The Last of Us, and I think they actually kind of outdid themselves when it came to The Last of Us versus that of like Uncharted, which I thought Uncharted was absolutely great, but I thought that they took it up a notch with The Last of Us, in my personal opinion. Coming in, guys, at number 4 is none other than Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Now look, Black Ops 2, guys, is my favorite COD of all time. I absolutely love this game, and I'll give you, a couple reasons why. Number 1, I love the campaign. It wasn't the best campaign in all of the Call of Duty franchise, but I loved it nonetheless. I love that semi-futuristic take on, just Call of Duty, and really just the different weapons that you had in the game, the different things that you could earn within the game, the prestiges, the titles, the emblems that you could create, just from overall. And then with zombies, and the different maps were so iconic. Standoff was absolutely incredible, guys. Pretty much my favorite map in all of Call of Duty, and I loved mainly the sniping in it. The sniper rifles were something special, guys. We actually started by just playing it from a competitive perspective in the multiplayer realm, and then we ended up trick-shotting. I got into trick-shotting, guys, with Black Ops 2 in a major way, and I gotta say, it was the most fun I had in any Call of Duty, without a doubt. From just playing with your friends on the Xbox 360, trick-shotting, to pub stomping, it was good for really any type of player, in my personal opinion. I thought it catered to everyone, whether you were trying to play competitively, whether you were trying to trick shot, whether you were trying to pub stomp, whether you were trying to, just have a good time, just kind of chill and play with your friends. It was an incredible experience, and it was probably the biggest achievement, in my opinion, when it comes to the Call of Duty realm. Coming in, guys, at number 3 is Halo 2. Now, Halo 2 was one of the first games I ever owned on the original Xbox, and Halo 2, guys, I gotta say, was something, you know, that I had a ton of fun playing with my friends. It was kind of the first time I was really introduced to the split screen mechanism or mechanics, and that was something that was really awesome to me. Being able to play with my friends who would come over, we would play the split screen style, and it was something really special. I really enjoyed playing Halo 2 from not only from like, you know, playing with my friends, because it was kind of my first introduction to like the multiplayer side of things, but the campaign, the story was so good, and it was just, you know, there was so much there. Even though looking back now and kind of, you know, seeing it for what it is, the graphics and how we've progressed over time, it was such an incredible experience, guys. It kind of shaped how I when it came to playing video games and such, it really kind of shaped me in a certain way, because games like Halo is how we got to where we are now, because it was one of those, you know, staples in gaming. And that's why I'm so excited that Halo Infinite is coming out and the Halo franchise is continuing, because it's such a staple in all of gaming. And so Halo 2, guys, will always hold a very close place in my heart. Not because it had like the greatest story ever or it had the greatest multiplayer experiences, but because it was just overall, guys, it was a full package deal that you could play from you know, playing with your friends, playing, you know, playing, of course, the campaign. And I love the sniping once again in that game was absolutely incredible. The pistols were awesome. I mean, it was just one of those games, guys, that was really my first introduction to the Halo universe. And I went back after playing Halo 2 to Halo 1 and kind of really understanding where this, you know, franchise was kind of moving in. Something, you know, unlike anything I've really ever played, guys, you know, back then. And it was something that, like I said, will always be close to my heart. Coming in, guys, at number 2 is Starcraft II. So, guys, Starcraft II, one of the greatest real-time strategies, I believe one of the greatest PC games ever made. This is a game that I bought. Interesting story. I was going to college. I was my first year, freshman year of college, and I was going to buy a laptop. And it was going to be my, you know, first laptop that I was really like purchasing in a major way. I bought an Asus gaming laptop. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to purchase a PC game because I never really owned them. I was always more so into the console than the PC side of things. And so I decided I want to get a PC game, and I decided to go ahead and pick up StarCraft 2. And so at first I was actually going to pick up like Diablo. I was actually looking at World of Warcraft. And World of Warcraft, you know, just because of how long it is and how many expansions there are, it was a little bit intimidating for me. Diablo, I thought it was maybe a little bit too dark. And so StarCraft, when I saw that, I thought this might be something interesting. And so when I started playing it, what an incredible experience, guys. It actually was one of those games that, you know, having to like understand and learn the hotkeys and learning just everything about the game, playing the campaign to try to understand things, and then trying to, you know, of course, go into the multiplayer side of things, and then the co-op and all of those different things, really, in my opinion, was one of the founding fathers of the esports realm, guys. This was a game that I watched, you know, from way back then when it came to the esports realm with like EG Idra and Dignitas Select and all of these guys, Kiwi Kaki. These guys all, you know, had a way in which I really was able to connect with this game in a major way outside of just playing the game. And it was one of those games that I just wanted to constantly get better at. And I really never got really great at the game, but it was something that it was just like a challenge that I never really taken on, and it was something I really enjoyed. And from a graphical standpoint, guys, I still think that the graphics still hold up to this day. And StarCraft 2, they're still adding new maps. They're still, you know, changing things. It's still going strong to this day, and StarCraft 2 actually became free to play, which is a huge deal. And so, like, if you haven't checked out StarCraft 2, guys, I would absolutely give it a try. I mean, it is an incredible experience that really shaped me into the gamer I am now. And we have still not seen a real-time strategy like that of StarCraft, and that's why I've been such a huge advocate of wanting a StarCraft 3 at some point or another in the future here, because it's so good, and I think the RTS genre did so well back then, and I want it to have a resurgence in a major way. And so with that, I think a StarCraft 3 would absolutely do that. But StarCraft 2, guys, absolutely on my top 5. And then at number 1, guys, is Gears of War 3. Gears of War 3, guys, was without a doubt single-handedly one of the greatest games I believe ever created. Gears has always been very close to my heart. I love this franchise. The original trilogy was incredible. And then, of course, Gears of War Judgment was a step in the wrong direction. Then you had, the Ultimate Edition, which I think was great. Gears of War 4, I thought was great. Gears 5, I thought was even better. Like, it was the best of, like, the more recent Gears of War games. I still think it's one of the highest up there. But Gears of War 3, though, guys, it was kind of like the culmination of everything that you were working towards in the first couple of games came to a conclusion with Gears of War 3 in a way. From a campaign perspective, the story was so dark, gritty. The characters were just so good, guys. And this, from a campaign perspective, it kind of closed out that trilogy of Gears of War. And then from a multiplayer perspective, having so many different ways you can play the multiplayer, as well as like the horde mode, as well as, just all of these different modes that they've created over time with Gears of War, like Beast Mode and such. It just had so many different ways that you could connect with the franchise. If you didn't want to play the campaign, you could play, multiplayer. If you didn't want to play, multiplayer, you could play horde mode with your friends, or you could play, beast mode with your friends. I mean, it was just such a one of those experiences where I've always talked on this YouTube channel about having full package deals, having where there's more than one way to connect with the franchise, having ways in which you play, the campaign, a visceral story, but then you also have ways you play the multiplayer. You also are able to play co-op modes, and having all different types of ways. And it's evolved even to this day with Gears 5. You've got escape mode. You have all these, they've changed some of the game modes that they have out there, even from an esports perspective. It's just a beautiful thing, guys. Gears of War has even though a lot of people say it's a niche community, I believe it's a very strong community at its core. And, it's something that I'm proud to be a part of. I love Gears of War. And it's, like I said, Gears of War 3, I believe, is one of the greatest games ever made at this point in time. And I can't wait to see the continuation of the series moving forward, following up Gears 5. And it's just, it's awesome, guys. It really is. I can't wait to see the continuation. And these are my top 5 video games that I believe the greatest games that were ever made. Let me know, though, guys, what are your top 5 games, and what are the top 5 games that you think are the greatest that were ever made? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more top 5 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.